Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's me, your good pal Chris. Am I situated here? Uh, wow. Um, Today's a little bit of a different live stream. I'm going to be joined by my good pal Kirk Wallace, aka Bonehouse, aka Turzy. No, never mind. Sorry, Kirk.
Okay.
We are going to be reviewing some work and some portfolio website things today. We asked for people to submit some stuff on Instagram, on my Discord, on Patreon, several places, and we gathered them and put them together. And I'm gonna be honest, we have way more than I expected, and this is gonna be tricky. We're gonna have to try to move quickly, I think.
Mhm.
I am going to bring Kirk into the chat very briefly. I just have a couple quick announcements that I want to share with you all. First is I just launched my new Skillshare class. Finally, that has I don't know why it took me so long, but it's a repeating class on making repeat pattern tile seamless patterns uh, in like a sort of almost automated way using Adobe Fresco and Capture. It takes a lot of the math and trickiness out of it, and it's really fun and really easy. And I hope you will check it out. There's a link below. If you're new to Skillshare, you should be able to get a 1 month free trial with that link. In addition, it just so happened that Kirk launched his new class on Skillshare today, but I'm gonna tell you about that in a minute when he's here. He's actually here. I'm just making him sit and wait while I talk for a minute. Looks like we got lots of people in the chat. So great to see so many familiar faces and channel members and channel moderators. I want to say hi to all of you, but we gotta get into this. The other thing I want to tell you is I was cleaning my office, uh, procrastinating. I should have been doing other stuff, but it had gotten crazy, and I came across a stack of screen prints that I forgot that I had, and I added them to my shop. Um, there's like 6 of each of them. These are screen printed posters. They're like 18 by 24, signed and numbered. And also at the top is my new Rezo print, that there's still some of those left in the shop. And you can use the promo code LIVE to get a discount. I don't even remember what the percentage is, but it is a percentage that you will get off of your order, the whole order, whatever you get on there, including that new Care About Other People shirt that looks like a death metal shirt. So check it out. Links below. That's what it is. I'll tell you quick about the posters. The first one is a Boston Terrier on a BMX bike. I used to have 2 Boston Terriers. I love them, and that's what that is. The second one is a monster alphabet that I drew many years ago and did a screen print with. I printed that one myself. And then the one after that is a collaboration between me and Shanna of our past dog Biggie, who he was the best doggy in the world, and we miss him dearly. That's Biggie in his hoodie. So that's the Biggie Forever Silkscreen print. Miss you, Biggie. Okay. Let me pop those off the screen. Let me bring Kirk into the. Kirk has entered the chat.
Hi, Kirk is here. Hi, everyone. It's Kirk. I'm here.
Hey, Kirk, how you doing?
Hi, Chris. I'm okay. I feel
like
that
we've
much
been
of
doing a
anxiety.
lot of live stuff lately. You were on my all day live stream, and then I joined you
Mhm.
on your Adobe live. He's doing a regular Adobe Live thing, right? Called. You want to tell
Mhm.
us about it?
Yeah, Collabby I do on Adobe's channel generally every 2 weeks. I think it's on Wednesdays around 2 o'clock Eastern, whatever. You can find it on my socials. But we basically, each week I bring on a different guest and we like draw stuff together on stream. And it's like always silly. We almost never make things that are beautifully like bespoke, but we always have fun and try to make it like real goofy and interactive with the chat and stuff. And it's been really cool. Adobe's given me pretty much free reign to run a show, and hopefully it continues forever and ever. I need to find new guests for the next couple of episodes. It's really hard running an entire broadcast. I'm sure you can relate, but there's a lot to do. But yeah, it's fun. And there's, I think, 5 episodes up. So you can just search like Adobe Kirk Wallace or something, and I'm sure you'll find him on YouTube.
Yeah, I believe that I did make something beautiful when I joined you, so it seems
Okay.
a little questionable at best.
Mhm.
Jenna in the chat said that Kirk is our other overlord. So,
That's
yes.
fair.
And she also said, check out She Shell if you need a new guest. She is
Oh,
on
okay, cool.
IG.
Right on. Thank you, Jenna.
Woo, okay. So that is Pape Inc. said, feeling superior with the stickers. He's a channel member and he's using some of my special stickers that you get to use when
Yeah,
you're a
it
channel
does
member.
put you in a different category, in an
It
upper
does.
echelon.
And I do need to make some more. So I will do that. I think Kirk is going to make a class on creating some 8-bit stuff in Illustrator. And I feel like that
Mhm.
would help me make smaller icons because I feel like it's very tricky to make things that hold up that small. So maybe you can
Yeah.
teach me.
Yeah, maybe I can get the class done in less than 1 year.
That would be great. Speaking of classes, that is a good introduction to this little graphic that I just popped up over my face, which is your new class. You want to tell us about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, sure. I spent, I think, a year and a half on it. I don't think it'll equate to a year and a half's worth of work, but it is something I like. I feel really strongly about, or else I wouldn't have wasted all of my time on it. It's really cool. It's a course about sharing your work and sharing it with like intention. Basically, I'm trying to get people to not just post like a graphic on Instagram with like no caption, because it's just not an engaging way. And so I've built my entire career for the last 10 years as a freelancer without having to reach out for any work. Everything just comes to me naturally, not naturally, organically. And it's all because I basically just make like really powerful projects and case studies and stuff like that. So it's me just kind of walking through the process of how I share my work, and tell a story with the way that I'm presenting it, showing process and context, talking about like the challenge, the problem, the solution, and just like trying to teach people that this is a good way to be sharing our work, and like that it's not crazy, it's not like a new idea. It's like the same reason why we love like behind the scenes commentary for DVDs, or we love like the art of Pixar books and stuff that show the way things are made. So it's like an hour-long course, that will hopefully help you, am I over time? Hopefully it'll help
No.
you basically share your work more intentionally, and hopefully see better results, and like help you get hired or help you make more sales or get more views and things like that. I think it's good.
That sounds like a great class, and I am looking forward to checking it out so I can learn how to do it.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, let's pop that off the screen. Congrats on getting this class done. It sounds way more involved than the class that I just put out.
It's the weird thing about the class is just like I wasn't able to hide behind like my previous two Skillshare classes were like how to draw a character and like how to make an illustration, and I was able to like hide a lot of my poor teaching skills behind the cool drawings. This one, like I had nothing to hide behind because it's like purely just about like theory and concept. So it had a lot of like insecurity around it. And I think that's why it took so damn long. But I feel like I finally like got, I broke through something. And so now I'm ready to like make another course in 2 weeks or something.
Well, that's awesome. It seems like there's a lot of people in the chat that are
Oh, cool. Thank you,
excited.
everyone.
You said cool before I even told you what the situation was.
I
So
mean, I
could
can
I could
see
have
the
been saying
chat,
there's a lot of people in the chat that hate it.
but I can read faster than you can speak.
Okay,
I'm
we
literally one
should
of the
start.
fastest readers in my school.
We should we should start talking about stuff.
Sure.
So we have like two different groups because some people sent websites and some people sent images. So I think we have to just do them all together based on how it is. So I have a browser open with just websites. So do we just do that first and just get into it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Do
If
you
we get sick of
see,
websites, we can switch over to images like in between or something.
and you have the preview correct? So you'll be able to see what I'm
Yeah,
showing?
that's all I'm seeing is yeah. I'm like maybe just like 1 second behind or something.
Okay. Well, first up is, where's the name? Bailey Christine, but I'm just getting that from the URL. Some cool stuff though, for sure.
Way cool. Yeah, top tier.
Let's do a little scroll
Most of the
action.
stuff that we got, I mean, I think all of the stuff we got, I was worried that we were going to get things that were like uncomfortable to review, but like everything we got was really great. And so excited. I think also just want to say at the top, like for me, I think both Chris and I are going to try to be like critical, probably in somewhat different ways, but like I lean on the side of positivity. And so I'm not going to be like mega harsh on like colors and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm still getting comfortable with like critiquing, I suppose. But we have a lot of good
Yeah.
feedback on them.
And I mean, I'm just a mean person, so I'm just gonna say mean things about everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
But
true
I'll
at all.
offset that. Good cop, bad cop.
That's not true at all. But so this looks this is super fun. I like this. It has a it's like strong sense of cohesiveness, but also variety. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
some stuff that's super simple, but some stuff has a bit more detail, and there's like different color palettes and textures, but it all feels cohesive together. It's like a good presentation. I don't know. What do you think, Kirk?
I adore this work. I'm trying to like remove my personal love for just the style because I am like very biased on like I just adore like that train one in the lower right is just so cute to me, like a little bit further down on the right. But yeah, I feel like style is like I have very little feedback in terms of style. I feel like maybe the website and the presentation a little bit probably could find a way to get your images like that much bigger. Like it's probably not having a ton of justice served to the work in like the format of the site with maybe like the side navigation and stuff like that. I just feel like the images are a little bit small, and then when you click on them, I think maybe just a little bit more payoff would this one has more payoff. Some of them just are like kind of one image, and I know that maybe that's all the project is, but I feel like there's always a way to be able to like show more, even if it's like showing your sketches or some thoughts. Like I just want to know like what these images were used for and stuff. Um, so that would kind of be my feedback because I feel like artistically they're
Well,
like
it does say a
super good.
31-day series of illustrations made during Halloween. So
Sure.
maybe you should just learn how to use your reading skills a little bit better.
I think if I had to push harder, I would say like, tell me what you were exploring, like the themes or like what challenges you overcame during it. Like doing a challenge for 31 days is to me very difficult. And I'm sure it broke your brain in some capacity. And like, yeah, just talking about kind of how it, yeah, I don't know, what you learned through it, I think could be cool. Cause I think the images are like so sick.
One thing I would say is I really liked before where I was able to like click through some things quickly and see them, but it seems like when I'm in this illustration section, like sometimes I get to something like this and it's like I can't just like click to a next thing when I'm like in an image, so it's like a lot of clicking just for that one image. It seems like some of these could it could just be like a click through portfolio, and then these like series could have their own thing. I don't know. Just some thoughts, because like for like
Yeah.
this one, I felt like never mind. I was gonna say it was like I clicked on the thumb and it was like this a thumb again, but there was no thumb. It's just these things.
Ooh, see, like I love
Yeah,
seeing that shit at the bottom there. Like that excites me just to see the way the brain was thinking when you were doing it. And the reason why I say that is because like I've been like deliberately hired for projects based on like clients saying that they loved seeing like the process as well, and that they wanted to like go through a similar process. So sometimes I think that can be really valuable. And I think the other thing about it is it just makes it, I don't know, I mean, even the more nerdy side of it is like it keeps people on the site longer and like reduces bounce time and stuff like that. It's just more, I guess I would be more likely to share this one with a friend because it shows a little bit of the behind the scenes, whereas just an image, I'm maybe less likely to share. Um,
I see Bailey's in the chat was saying it's an Adobe portfolio problem. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it seems like maybe something like Squarespace would be a lot easier for you to control. But I don't have much experience with Adobe Portfolio, so. But like these are, you have so much good work on here, so that's. I accidentally clicked on some locked thing, but I feel like we should move on because we have so many. But this great work, Bailey. Thank you.
Yeah, Bailey, it's so awesome. You probably know that, but I feel like the site just might be limiting you a little bit, or the structure of it. But I love, love, love the work.
So this is Giles Kurgadellen. Sorry if I know I said that wrong, but
Yeah,
right off
sorry
the
that
bat,
you are, not if.
right off the bat, this is super fun. I love that there's stuff like moving around. It's kind of cool to see. Nice presentation. Nice. I like that it feels very cohesive color wise too. I don't
hmm
not that's not necessarily something that needs to happen, but it
Yeah, it's just
just
like a
is kind of
benefit.
nice. What do you
Yeah,
think,
I
Kirk?
love the bento box kind of grid layout situation. Um, I like that you're like telling me it's the challenge of like showing your work as soon as possible while also trying to tell the viewer a little bit about what you do. And I feel like you're doing that pretty well with like that first chunk in the top left that's like still talking about what you do and what your meaning and purpose is in this website, but also still showing the work. Because I think that's like a fine balance.
Seeing this motion reel, I really feel like that this should just be like auto playing when you go to the website
Yeah.
because it's like really gives a good feel for all of the work and it's great and engaging. Like if you just were on the homepage and that was like here instead of this thing, I feel like
Yeah.
that would be
I would
pretty rad.
agree. I would generally agree with that as well. It's hard because I do love the simple layout too. I mean,
But
either
I feel like
way,
it
but
would
yeah,
be the
I
same
agree.
layout. It just
Yeah, just go like wide with a nice video at the top kind of thing.
it seems like you're dealing with a situation that I was dealing with recently with video being a pain to handle because like where these like captions are weird, like because it's like centering it or something over the video for the full thing, but even though they're not full video things.
Yeah, Chris and I were just doing this a couple months ago with his site and yelling at each other about it. That was like when you were trying to do the, I think the Adidas uh, project on
Because I
your
had
site
I
or
had
something with
some that were
Squarespace.
vertical and some that were like
Yeah, and you
horizontal.
could do one or the other. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I think probably you already know that this could probably get some love in terms of layout, but you probably already know that.
Yeah, let's yeah, like here I think it would be nice to lead with just like a bigger image of this stuff.
Yeah,
But it seems like since these are stickers, it seems like you could just make a a GIF to solve your
yeah,
problem because it's just it's just three colors like that. You could make a small
yeah. I don't
file.
think it'll be too heavy to do, or even just like a Giphy integration or something. There's
Yeah,
probably a way to have this kind of auto looping without it being super heavyweight, especially this.
there's no reason you can't just do this as a GIF. I feel like whenever you can do a GIF, you should just do that because it takes away so many of the difficulties.
Yeah,
But yeah, great stuff. I feel like not really much else
Yeah,
to
I think like
say.
testimonial and all of that stuff, like the social proof and like showing the logos and all that is super helpful too. Like this is a site that feels like you can be hired, because I think that's the other thing. That's like a large thing I see often of, you go to a site and it's like, okay, is this like a hobby situation or can I hire you? Because some people just do artwork and don't necessarily want to be hired, and that's fine. It's more of like a gallery, but I think this site does a really good job of being like, no, like I'm a professional, you can hire me, here's what I do, let's get to work. And I think that's really important as well, and I think we'll see that maybe some of the sites don't do that quite as much, but this one is really like a site that feels like you can take action quickly on it.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. Super fun, great stuff. We should move on? We got so many.
Yeah, move on. I'm going to try to glance down at chat a little bit more often too. Sorry, everyone, that I'm kind of ignoring.
Okay, Daydream Productions. Right off the bat, I just feel like I don't know what the work looks like, and I just want to see something. So we can get there, we can scroll, but I just feel like just seeing this like splash of color scrolling down a little bit, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, look at
Yeah.
all this fun stuff. Like, you really need to get that here. You need to get some of that because this is just like, look at this gigantic client work, personal projects, contact, like all this big white type, and then it's like really beautiful, whimsical, fun illustrations. And that's this is your work, and that's what we're here for. We're not here
Hmm.
for this menu. This is
Hmm.
the biggest menu I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, just try to get out of the way as much as you can. Like there's few barriers to entry. I remember back in like 2004 or whatever, when we were making websites and you'd have like a portal page where you'd like be like click to enter, and it was like such a faux pas of like, no, just let me see the work. And I think that's
Hmm.
almost what's operating here, is like there's barriers to entry. I do know that this person is working on the site still, which I'm sure
Mm.
everybody is. It's always a work in progress. But so that's great because we can give the feedback. Um, they know I'm a fan of their work, and the work is awesome. It's all like 3D stuff too, which is really cool because it's like 3D, but then kind of bashed down into like a 2D style, and I really like it. Um,
Yeah, I
I
mean
just
the
feel like
work
we're
is
burying the
it's
work a lot.
yeah. I think they're like all this stuff is important information, but I feel like it should just be all um, under like an about page where
Yeah,
like someone needs to see the work first and be intrigued and be like, okay, I really like this person's work. Now I'm at a point where I want to find out more, see what their capabilities are, see what they can do for me. But they don't care about that until they know that they like your work. Because if they don't like your work, they don't care about the other information because it's not
yeah, I always
useful.
liken it to like a book cover, right? Like you want the book cover on a store to be like appealing and catch your eye and make you pick it up, but then you want to read the back of the book where it has information, stuff like that. But the first thing that's probably the most important, like Chris is saying, is make me want to pay attention, because especially when you're trying to get like hired by like art directors and stuff like that, like they're looking at like 300 portfolios a day where they're just like clicking through, and they'll jump off the site as quickly as they can because they got to move on to the next. So how can you grab them as quickly as you can? Because your
Yeah,
work is so good.
it's almost like they're looking for a reason to bail because they have to like
Totally.
get through a bunch. And I experienced that in my own life when in my back in my design days, I was like in charge of hiring our interns, and we would get so many submissions because like we did stuff in the music industry, and I don't know, it was like a kind of a cool studio. So there was tons, and like I'd get an email, and if I would just like look for something to like not have to look at the link, and if it was like a misspelling or like just something, I'd be like, all right, I can cross this one off the list.
Yeah, as soon as you can, right?
Yeah,
Jenna
but
says
like
that
this,
she loves it and she's curious about the IG too. And I think that's just another great case of my, sorry to cut you off, Chris, but that is another good thing too. Like just the social as quickly as possible. Like it's at the bottom down there, but maybe also have it at the top right or whatever too. Just kind of like following those basic norms of UX. Just make people. This is something Chris taught me a long time ago too. Of like have your email like so they can click it, but also so they can copy and paste it. Like just make it all as easy as possible and just get out of the way. Like
And also
don't
like
make anything tricky. Yeah, you
things
should be
like
able to click
this, like
contact, not just the arrow.
yeah, that is
It's
weird. But
cute and it's cool, but it's an immediate way for like somebody to be like, all right, I'm moving on.
yeah, and I love that it spins and like brings us down. That's cool. Just make it so that it happens no matter where you click.
Contact, yeah. Yeah.
But amazing work. I think the reason we're so critical of the layout is because your work is so good and we want to see it. If your work wasn't good, I'd be like, yeah, no, maybe just keep hiding it a little bit. But your work is really nice.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and like
I know you
you
have more work too. I think I know that this site is a work in progress, but like more images, more images, and more images because I know you have heaps of them, and I know that you're working on that. But like even I feel like even the personal projects here, it's like you got to like dig to get through to the side of them and stuff. Like just give me a grid of 9 or something. Like I don't want to have to like slide through them. Like it's cool and cinematic, but like it's such a shame that that cool ass night could potentially be buried, or any of them could be. Like just
yeah, I
yeah,
also like really want to see it, but like I can't ever see it bigger, and I can't see it without like something on top of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also, I'll say it a million times, but like curious to see like the bone rig of that file and like a little bit more of like how you built it because I know that you're also like a very technical artist, and so like working in pipelines and like what engines you're using to render and like how you're rigging and all of that I think could be helpful as well. And maybe you're doing that in some of the writing, but I'm quite frankly, I mean, obviously today we're not reading everything, but I'm just assuming people are not reading too much text
yeah,
unless there's a big fat image to get them enticed first.
yeah, and like someone who's looking for someone is not going to spend time reading all this, and it's also um, like you have all these things that you do, and that's amazing. So show it instead of making us do research about it. You know what I mean? Like it's so much cooler to see this. Like you're talking about the modeling and stuff like that. So like just give me a page with this and show me the breakdown, and then I'm like, okay, I see that they do this stuff without having to like read about it.
Yeah, start strong and then give plenty to dig into if they want to. Can I read a
But
couple
yeah,
chat
amazing
things?
work. What?
I just want to read a couple chat things in between.
I'm
Marcus
gonna
says,
switch
lovely work.
to.
For myself, I worry about using high res images on my site only to have them scraped or AI. I can speak to my, I think it's paranoia. Like, I think if anyone's going to try to rip you off, they're going to do it no matter what. I think like disabling right click on your site and all those types of things. My opinion has always been like, it just looks insecure.
It's
And
also
it's sort of
annoying
a pointless
for art
battle.
directors because
Yeah.
they like especially if an agency is trying to hire you, they need to pull your images and present them
Yeah.
to get approval or to like present it to a client and say, hey, this is our idea for this project and this is the illustrator we want to use. And they're like often doing a presentation about you before it could be before you're even involved to see if you're going to get the project. Usually like when an agency comes to me, they'll like send me this deck that they've sent to the client that has like my work in it. And if you're like making it hard for it to get to that point, and also like
They're
the
going to get
idea
it if they want
about
to get it anyway.
AI scraping and like it doesn't matter if it's low res, like if it's sophisticated enough that it can like create artwork, it doesn't matter how low res it is, they just make it better. Like
Mhm.
that's easy stuff for AI to do. And the other thing with like signatures, like you don't even need AI to get rid of a signature. You could just use like
The clone stamp
any,
it or whatever.
yeah. And I feel like that just makes you look like just I don't know. It doesn't look professional when you've got like
It's a
big,
little high school. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
would say don't worry about those things if you can, because I think it also just like requires extra energy and effort that would probably be better spent on like making the site better or doing another piece of work. So yeah, I think both Chris and I's
yeah,
opinion is like try not to worry
you're
about it.
with the concerns about like AI stuff. You're better off trying to spend your time thinking about what makes you unique as a human and putting that into your work than trying to trick a robot into not stealing it. So
Skippy asked, I'll do one more question and then we can slide into the next site. Skippy asked, does responsive design sites for different devices matter? Or is that too technical? I think 100% in 2025, your site should 1000% be responsive and at least work on mobile as well as desktop. Obviously, as artists, where it depends on what your site is trying to do too. Like if you're selling prints or something that's more consumer level, like you're probably getting a lot more mobile traffic because it's just people trying to buy your prints. Whereas if you're like only trying to be hired by art directors, they're probably only browsing on a desktop. But every turnkey solution now has like mobile ready stuff, whether it be Squarespace or Wix or Cargo or whatever it is. So to me, it's a no-brainer that it should be rock solid pretty much every step of the way, from like a tiny mobile device all the way to a super wide. And it shouldn't be a difficult thing at this point.
yes, yeah, like as you're saying with like these sites like Squarespace or whatever or Wix, like they're automatically generating the mobile version as you're laying
Yeah.
out the site, and it's you just click on it and be like, okay, that looks good, or you can adjust it as needed. But it's not like an edit. You don't need to worry about the design process.
Yeah.
So we've got Adam All up on the screen right now, and I love that I'm seeing tons of images.
Yeah. Right away. I can
My
start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just feel like you've had to start each one. And so I can take some pressure off it so you can sip your drinky. Yeah. I love that I see work right away. I'll say something like at a meta level quickly that uh, it, there is like a difference between like a graphic design portfolio and an illustration portfolio and things like that. Of like, I can kind of see right through that this is like a templated site, like maybe an Adobe portfolio or whatever. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because like Chris and I were saying, we don't want it to be like so customized that like it's distracting. So I like that it's out of the way. Maybe it could use a little bit more love in the design and presentation, just a touch, but that's at risk of
I,
like overcomplicating it. If in doubt, simple is definitely the best thing to do. Go ahead, Chris.
I no, I would I agree, but I think it's not. I don't even think in terms
Squarespace.
of what was that?
It's on Squarespace. Adam just said in chat. Sorry.
I don't even think it's in terms of like changing the overall layout. I just feel like you could be more strategic in how the the like I think the images, the sizing could be adjusted, and like the way that they're placed. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like the
Yeah,
order.
like it's like a mosaic grid right now, and maybe it's bringing a little bit of hecticness. I think probably the other thing is I love that like there's this cool textured beige background on some of these, and I wouldn't want to lose those. But I almost wish they were either like all just a white background or all not a white background. There's a little bit of like Spider-Man is like floating in a white space, but then below it is like a harsh grid. It might even be a matter of like a tiny rounded corner on each of them so they feel that much more intentional. I think, or
Yeah,
I
or even
love
just a
seeing a ton
background
of images,
color.
but yeah, I think if they even just all had just a touch of a background, I think it's just a little bit of like
Well, I'm not even talking about the
it's
images. I'm saying like if the website design had just like a slight color, then you would see the grid and it would feel less chaotic.
Yeah, I think that's what's missing is like I know that there's a grid underneath this, but it doesn't necessarily look like it was some of the white background ones. So yeah, maybe if the site had a little bit of a, even if it's just like an off whatever color, then you'd see the grid a little bit more. The other thing I was going to say is like maybe it's a few less images and some of them are a little bit bigger, not a lot less, but um
It does seem like some of this stuff is a lot stronger than other stuff too. Like it seems like this is a situation where some stuff could get weeded out.
yeah, I think so. You have some really strong ones in here, and there's probably some that don't need to be in there for sure.
And
I do
also
love what's
maybe
really
like
big.
controlling how big it previews because it looks like this one is getting blown out resolution
Bigger
wise
than it
here.
wants to be. Yeah.
So I think it's just like setting a max size for it. But I do like how simple it is to cut through here. But like some of this earlier stuff, feels custom and unique, but something like this feels a little more generic, I guess. Like doesn't it feels like I don't know,
Yeah, there's pieces
not
that are stronger than others, and I
yeah.
think they probably know damn well which ones they are. It just might be a matter of the kind of like kill your darlings thing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them probably aren't working super well at scale, but when they get big, they're incredible. Um, yeah, it might just be it might be time. I get a feeling that Adam's work here is probably spread over a decent amount of time, and it might just be a matter like it's time to maybe make the call, which is always hard
Yeah.
to do. What I do is I just make like an archive page just because I hate to remove or delete anything from my site. Uh, and so what I do is I just kind of like shift them over to an archive page just so that I still have them technically for posterity's sake. But I'm really trying to just present like, because I have like 100 projects on my site and every project is like a project. And that's insane. And so getting it down to like 9 on the homepage is super hard for me. Um, but I think it's really important to do. So I feel like a call, like chopping this down, like almost maybe in
Yeah.
half or something could be helpful.
Yeah, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, some of this stuff is much stronger than other stuff, and I think narrowing this down to like you were saying, like maybe a grid of 9 images would
Yeah.
serve you much better
Yep.
because you need to remember that it's like this common idea that your portfolio is only as good as your worst piece. So when you're trying to narrow it down, like is this if this is I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but it's only as good as the worst piece. So you need
Yeah.
to make sure there's no stinkers in there that are gonna concern someone because when someone's hiring you, they want to know they don't want to be concerned about what they're going to get. They want to sort of have a good idea. And it's like, well, I love this piece you did, but I'm worried I might get this one instead.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And also sometimes I know for my own personal thing, like when I had work up on my site that I wasn't super happy with anymore, or just didn't want to do anymore, and I'd get an email and they'd like reference something on my site, I'd like be crossing my fingers like, please don't be the project that I do. And then I realized like, why do I have those on my site if I don't want to be hired for them anymore? So just maybe go through and think like if you were going to be, oh, there's even more work too. But yeah, I think a culling would be really helpful for this site.
So like this image right here, it's getting blown out because it's a little big, but like this is so much better than when in the illustration section. Just this on its own feels like just like a drawing. You know what I mean? And like this, when I come over here and I see it as a product, I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's telling
oh,
a
okay,
story.
this is a. It just looks way more professional than like a thing. So like show it in context. Don't show it on
Context.
its own because it doesn't hold up as well. But there's some super rad stuff here. No, it's I think it's just
Chop chop.
highlighting your best stuff because
Yep.
that's the point of a portfolio. You can use social media and stuff to post everything, but you don't put everything in the portfolio.
Yep. And make an archive page if you don't want to remove it from the site totally, if you got attachment issues like I do. I'm going to fuck with my microphone for a second if I get weird. So just give me a sec.
All right, we have Pape Ink. Is it paper? Is it? Am I saying that right? Can you Pape Peppy Ink? I am very happy about this color palette that has taken over my screen right now. I love it. I love I love this tagline. Imagine you and I creating some cool shit together for your project. I added together in there because that's not there, but for your project, I love that. It's simple and it's kind of funny, and it goes with the work. The only
I'm
thing I
back.
might say is between the top header and this cool tagline, it's taken up a lot of real estate. What I would suggest is making this tagline thing a more like designing it to make it like sit as a graphic lockup, maybe next to this little logo thing, so you can get rid of this bar altogether, so we can see the work right off the bat. Because there's too much. It's almost half of my screen that's dedicated to not looking at your cool shit.
Yeah, and Chris is on a big screen. Like some of people have some little tiny laptops that they're on too. And also like your work
Yeah.
holds that scale. Like your logo will work at like a quarter of that size because you're a good designer. So like show that off that it works at such a small scale.
Yeah, and like sure you could do that, but even just like getting this like up here next to this would like get rid of all of this space. But yes, you could definitely even make this a bit smaller.
Yeah, that whole
But
yellow thing could be, I think, half the size. But the
yeah,
work is amazing, and that's the whole
yeah,
point. Show it
and
off.
I love now that I'm clicking on this, I'm not just getting this, I'm getting these little details and pull away marks. I think this
Yeah,
is
I love this.
really, and like seeing it in context like this. Oh, and look at the
Yeah,
creative process.
so
This is.
sick.
Oh, and this down here. Look at this. Uh,
Yeah. I really love the presentation of this. This is like so much of what I'm trying to get across in my course of like you're bringing me through a story now. Like I'm on a journey to like learn about the whole thing. And like at the top you showed me like if I'm an art director that just needs to see the image, boom, I got it. Easy, quick. But then if I want to dig deeper into the back pages of the book, like you're giving me tons to spend time on the site for. And like I feel like I would share this with somebody and be like, look how smart this person is. Like because I feel like that's a thing in, well, I say in 2025 it sounds kind of lame, but like as time goes on, making an image isn't necessarily enough. Like we're being hired to think, and to like come up with concepts and ideas and stuff like that. And I feel like this site is doing a really good job of showing off that thinking power. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I'm also like really loving this project too, and I don't think that this thumbnail is doing it justice. Like I get why you picked it because it's like showing it in context and it's like big and large on a wall. But I think for your work, like all these other thumbnails are much more intriguing to me. Actually, this one I think is not so much because it's just
Bit of a mess, yeah.
yeah. But like inside here, this is so much cooler than I was expecting based on the thumbnail.
Yeah, I think there's something to like. I know that technical can be a pain in the neck, but like when you're hovering those thumbnails, it's kind of sad that like you're covering it up with the text, but it's good because now I see, okay, it's a brand identity. I feel like you might even just like to move that text underneath and just like maybe when I hover, I'm seeing another view of it or something. Like it
If
just
this is
feels like it's not doing it
Squarespace,
justice, like
if
covering
this
it
is
up.
Squarespace, there's options where you can just like have it, even if it's like it does like a slight opacity thing with the name, or it goes below.
Yeah,
There's
just covering it
options.
entirely kind of is rough because the work is so damn good. And yeah, my biggest thing I really love about this site is that every project has a reason to click on it and a payoff. Sometimes it can be frustrating when like you go to click on something because you're intrigued and then it just like the image just gets bigger and you're like, oh man, I was really looking for a story. And this is what I mean when I say the story. I feel like this is super successful. It also just so happens to like your work is really cohesive and like all the colors are working really well. So like the site, this is a good example of the site working with your work and not taking away from it, other than that like giant ass header at the top, which you're going to fix immediately, I hope. I'm sure. I saw that you said you were
Yeah.
taking notes.
The I think you can the issue I think with this one is that it could just be that it's at the bottom right corner and it's not framed, but because there's like very little contrast between that background and the yellow, it just feels a little lackluster. I feel like this one is one where you could like use this or
Boom, like I
something,
feel like right there is great. Yeah.
yeah, to like get that color in, to make it feel more cohesive on there. Yeah, I just feel like
Yeah,
every single one of
interesting.
these I click on, like it's it's the situation where it's like
But it
it's
is hard to
way
like
better.
which image do you show too, because there's so much to it. But yeah, I think the thumbnails could entice a click a little
No,
bit more,
but I didn't even
specifically
mean
a couple
that.
of them.
I didn't even mean it in a bad way. I just mean like I'm everything I click on
Impressed.
here is like so good.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's awesome.
Um, I it almost makes me think that you could benefit from a like a quick look page as opposed that's before your portfolio where you could just have tons of images from here that people could just scroll through quickly because I feel like there's so much hidden stuff that like if you had a page that was just like that your landing page was like a quick look and it was just like this you got your tagline and then you're just scrolling and just getting like bigger images of like this stuff like all kind of mixed together just because there's an overwhelming amount of great work here that you don't like this is all rad but like it's limited, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, quick look could be cool.
And then you could then the portfolio they could go a deep dive into each project.
Yeah, I love these projects themselves though. I think they're so
Yeah,
they have
this
such a good
is
payoff.
yeah, I just
I'm
feel like
gonna keep
seeing
going
a
on
bunch of this stuff quickly would be super rad. Great stuff, amazing. Little bit of feedback. That's it. Let's
Marcos
this
asked about the archive tab. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, so it's like awkwardly cutting off Chris, but he doesn't mind. What's the filter you would use to add or not add an illustration to it? Do you receive inquiries mentioning the art that is only shown in the archive? For me, Marcos, what I do with my this is about the previous project, but when I was talking about archive, like I actually just put a header at the top of like, hey, this is just to kind of like show my personal growth because I realize a lot of like early artists are coming to my page too to kind of learn from. Excuse me. So I kind of put like a disclaimer at the top of like, I'm not really doing this type of work anymore, but it's just here sort of for myself. And that might be clumsy, but that's what I do just to answer that comment.
I love these little graphics for talking about
The
yourself.
process.
Yeah, I mean you're
Yeah.
killing it. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Super
You're
good.
the best.
Just like bring some of that negative space down. Like there's just like yeah, just I feel like you can crunch down some of the gaps.
Like these things are super rad. Like get them put that grid over here or something. Don't make me because like some people will see this and like not even see that because it's like everything. They're like, oh, this is the Let's Work page, so it's like, um, I'm gonna click on this. But if you scroll, it's like this. Look at this. But I wouldn't have known. And I'm on a 32-inch monitor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Put creativity at like every chance you can.
yeah,
Great work.
especially because your work is so good. Okay. This is K Baker Art.
Kyle,
Uh,
right? I think Kyle Baker. I remember
maybe
the name at
some
one
of you
point. I
should
think
put
Kyle.
your name somewhere so we can see it.
The work is great. Top notch.
I like the simplicity and the cleanliness. I would say that if if it starts to feel different as you get down, and it could just be a matter of just breaking it up so that
Yeah, it
like
feels
some
like
of
it's
these
chronological, basically. I feel like if you randomize it, it won't be so obvious that it's in a chronological order. Because I feel like the newest or the top one is like the newest and best. And I feel like as you go down, they almost get a little bit older.
hmm
You could probably
yeah.
chop some of those bottom ones even. Yeah, this is fun.
But yeah, this is nice and simple presentation. I think when you are like just wanting to show the work and get out of the way, this is a great way to do it. I do think it's one of those situations where you could weed some of these out. Like, for example, this this isn't bad, but it's like the lack of contrast, like it needs a little bit of something. So I think it's either revise or cut some of these. Like
Yeah, I
these are
think in
cool
contrast to
as
the
like a
ones up top, there's
series.
just like they're not telling like a story nearly as much down there. They feel like you're just kind of, but I mean, apologies for the terse words, but it feels a little bit more like you're just kind of like learning it a little bit with those like bottom four, but up top and basically anything above that bottom row feel like you're like you got a purpose, you're telling a story, and you got something to say. Whereas these bottom ones feel like you're just like drawing something.
I guess. I mean, I feel like
I,
these, when you put these together, these three on the right feel like they, as a series, they like look good together. So it almost feels like if I saw them together as like a group, like as one thing, it would feel better, as opposed to like them just being one of the things on here that's random. But like this one, I feel like isn't as strong as your other stuff. Uh, and
Illustrating asked, "Don't you want your newest work at the top?" Yeah, you want your strongest work at the top, which usually is your newest. I think
I don't
you
know.
just you
I
want
think
all your
when I feel
strongest
like
work, period. And I feel like when you can see that it's clear that it's not as strong toward the bottom, it's just a good indicator that like you might not need it, sort of thing.
yeah, I don't think that I wouldn't say the hard and fast rule is like newest first. I would say when you are putting together a portfolio, you want to lead with something strong. You want something strong in the middle, and then you want to end with something strong because that's like the last thing they see. So you want to end with a bang too. And maybe when you're like first starting out or you're like a student, maybe your newest one is always the best. But like as you get further into your career, like Kirk, I'm sure you would agree with me that like your last project is probably not the best project you've ever done.
No, you don't get the fortune at a certain point. You can't
Yeah,
keep
because there's
making
so
it
many
how you want, but
variables. Like when you're
yeah.
working as a professional, like you're not. It's not just you're working in a vacuum creating the best possible work.
And
Like
what your
there's
best
variables.
looking thing is isn't necessarily always like maybe you made the best solution for a thing or you worked on the biggest project, but it
Yeah.
might not be the most visually impressive. So it's a mixed bag. So no, you just want to have strong. And I think to the point of like the chronology, yeah, it more
You
just is
you
showing the. It feels like you're going to an Instagram page, and like as you scroll down, you're like, oh, okay, I see where they came from, and that's great for Instagram, but maybe not for portfolio.
Frankie Don't Serve said, "How do you find the balance between using a site for both finding client work and selling consumer product?" Well, I mean, I do that.
Just like that, yeah.
I just have like a, I have my portfolio, and then my shop is just a separate link. I don't think there's. I think if you just have different sections on your site, I think that's totally fine. I wouldn't worry about that.
I've recently had
I
to try to start doing that too, and I've borrowed a lot from what Chris does and a couple other people do. And I think that's something that like big piece of advice I want to throw out too of like there's people that are already doing it and looking at other sites for inspiration is a great way to do it. Like because there are plenty of people that are doing like the consumer thing, but also the professional thing. And so just like look at
mhm.
what other people are doing.
And I would also say, like, there's a large percentage of professional illustrators who are going to also be selling their own stuff in addition to doing client work because, we're creative people, we're making stuff. You you naturally like just want to make stuff, so it's sort of like a thing that just happens naturally. So a lot of people will be doing that. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, that work is all sick. I think you just need a little bit of a chop on some of the other stuff.
We do need to speed up a little bit because it's already been about an
Damn.
hour and we've so many.
I know. Okay.
Marcos, I love what I'm seeing. I think this is super cool. What I would say here is not that things are. It's not like what we were just saying, but it does feel like it gets different as I go down, and I just
It's a
feel like it should
gradient to it.
be. It just feels like it should be mixed up a little bit better, so it doesn't feel like different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some
It's
of these, like
gradiating
the
from
ones that
top
are
to bottom.
photo and like stuff like that. like, mix that in here so it doesn't feel like this is.
Yeah, I would like hit the randomize button basically on this and jumble them. That way it doesn't feel as like intentionally sequential. I think the other thing for me too is I'm curious to see like how these pay off or whatever. Yeah, this is sick. That's way exciting to be able to like click on something and see you're like teaching somebody that it's worth clicking on these things. My only thing about the homepage, Chris might disagree a little bit. Um, I don't know who you are, and I don't need like a big giant bio or anything like that. Um, I don't know if it's even like if you've got a logo for yourself or something that doesn't just like I don't want to contradict what we've been saying. Like seeing the work is absolutely the most important thing. I just feel like it could have some little tiny bit of personality to it or something.
I
But I
mean,
say that with
don't you
caution because I
don't you
don't want
feel
to take
like
away from the work. God,
don't you feel like the work kind of gives a vibe, and like if this person is like an illustrator, and it's like this is this is their work, their name is very clear, and we're like that if we're looking for an illustrator, he's given us exactly what we want to see.
um, I don't disagree with what you're saying at all, and I that's why I even cautioned the whole thing of it. But I mean, if I'm looking for that, I feel like in my gut, I feel like I'm missing some level of it. So I said it, but I don't disagree with what you said at all either. Um, yeah,
There's an
I don't know.
incredible amount of rad stuff on here. Like I'm this is blowing my mind right now. Um, I wanted to say something a minute ago when I was on this page. Um, I like this process stuff. However, I like the way you just handled it on the other page where I saw the stuff first. Because like when I
Yeah,
scroll down
stuff
here,
first.
like this is rad as hell. Like this is grabbing me. So I'm like like I love see like I want to. I think you should lead with this, and then have as I scroll down, I start to see I can see some more process and learn about it. Like it's the same thing I was talking about before with it's like I want to know I want to get interested by the work before I read about it. Like I don't want to read about it if I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like I'm not going to read about this when I haven't really seen it yet. Like I saw a thumbnail, but like I haven't seen this. When I see this, now I'm like, okay, tell me stuff and then I'll read it.
Hmm. Yeah, just
But let me see
jumble
it
a couple of
first.
those images, put the strongest first, but then yeah, of course, give them lots of stuff to dive into. And I feel like most of them you're doing that. I think that one just like has a really crummy payoff with just the pencil sketch at the top, but it's going to be awesome if it just slides down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff on here. I think that this thumbnail is not doing justice to this click off. Like I feel like I would want to see more of the rest of this. I think what makes this super cool is it breaking out of this grid and like this other stuff happening. I think this in context is much more interesting than
Yeah,
this
maybe
tight
you
crop.
switch from just like the 4x3 grid strictly and go to like more of a mosaic. That way you can have some that are taller and some that are wide. Like you might be able to get a more varied aspect ratio in that grid if you do like a mosaic layout or something, just because some of them feel like they're being forced into a box that might not be doing it all the justice.
And so I think this is mostly overall feedback for the whole site. Like, give us the work first before you tell us.
Yeah. Just a little bit, just like one of those images way up top or whatever, one or two of them, and then let us dive in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I love seeing
I
the
would say
processing
like
stuff.
this at the top with like maybe the shirt image next to it, and then you could have some text like next to it.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, we got to move on. This is amazing. Great work.
Yeah, great work, Marcos.
Hell yeah, Marco. Love it. Zaz Corp. We know Zaz
Hmm.
Corp. This is our
We do.
friend. Yeah, I mean,
Zazzy.
this is she already knows she's rad. I don't know why she submitted her work.
Well, we can go quick with Zazzy. Yeah, I mean, she's on fire. uh, it's hard to give feedback to Helen just because she's doing so damn well. I'd be curious. Not that we're gonna get that answer now, but like I'd be curious what Helen thinks of like where does she feel like she's not getting the results that she wants, because I know that she's working with all of the people that she wants to. I know that like her newsletter is super important because she does a lot of like art prints and stuff like that, and people seek her work out. So having that right up top is super important and valuable. I love that she's leading with that, because I think if some other sites were doing that, I'd say don't put your newsletter way up top. So I think it's cool to see that like certain, um, every different site needs a different main call to action and stuff like that. I don't know. The work is top notch. I'd love to see process, but that's always just my own selfish thing, like digging a little bit deeper.
Yeah, like even
Also, I think
if
probably
she
photos
doesn't
of the prints would probably be huge, right? Because I think every single one of these is like immaculately screen printed, if not like with a hollow foil or like a UV. Like everything is printed super well. So I feel like photos would be really nice to see once you click on them, right?
yeah, I would say if she could just like move this over and like incorporate it into the grid so there's not just this empty space up here,
Yeah.
would be rad. And I think I am at like your whole thing about showing process and all that stuff I think is great and I love seeing it, but like for me it's super overwhelming and I almost never do it, mainly because I'm lucky enough that I don't have to. But I think for Helen, or like I'm even saying this to like myself, but I think it's more specific to her because her work is very like it's all this stuff. She could have like a process thing where it's just like the breakdown for like one image and shows like
Yeah,
how she
one or
does
two of them.
it.
Yeah,
Because we don't need it for all of them, but like it would be
totally.
cool to see a process thing. But yeah, I mean
Yeah, like a
her
process
work's
session
incredible.
that's really, or section that's really clever, because I think these are all like, I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that these are probably all like four colors, and she's being super clever about the way she uses color and the way that she's doing color separation and all of that. So yeah, something to dig into the process a little bit without having to make, yeah, like a case study
Yeah,
for all 500
and
of
like
her
showing
posters.
the color separation for screen prints and stuff like that.
Yeah, it could
Um,
be really cool. I think also she's overdue for a new logo. Like her lettering has gotten so much better over the years that probably ready for a new Zazcorp logo up top. I
Maybe
feel
it
like.
definitely it's got a very kind of distinctive like '60s comic look, which kind of goes with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
all right, you're rad, Helen. What do we got here? Hi, hey, my name is Mike. We got a multidiscipline brand designer, compelling and enjoyable. So it's like
That's probably the first site that we've
cool.
seen that is a little bit less illustration forward. So I think it's good to just shift our gears a little bit
Yeah,
of probably what they're looking to get hired for.
I still wish like I was getting a sample of something,
Sure.
just like some imagery. You know what I
You might
mean?
even be able to do like a low opacity sort of jumbling, like the background of this like live stream with the teal with like the images in the back that are still like subtle. Like could be a cool way to just bring some into that purple background if you still wanted to keep the copy
Yeah,
from.
just like a
There's a
low
way to
opacity
bring imagery into
slideshow.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a way to get imagery up top.
Yeah. Do you want to talk
Otherwise, I
about
mean,
this?
so the work is different. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The work I think is all different from the other sites that we had. But I'm curious clicking into any of these just to see. I think my first curiosity, yeah, that's my curiosity was basically what is your role in a lot of these? And I feel like some of these images are like really captivating. And I don't know if I forget what the thumbnail was, but when we go back, we'll see. I
Yeah. I
feel
mean,
like none of
this
them
is
were as
amazing. I wasn't
captivating as
expecting to
this.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Wait, which one did you
that
click?
thumbnail is
Uh,
this one. I feel like that
yeah, I
thumbnail
think
is
there's better
nowhere near as
images.
cool as any of
Like
these. Like
that
this is
image is super
so
cool. Yeah,
good.
there's a lot of really good images.
All of these, like this melty face with the like all
Yeah,
of any one of
better
these,
thumbnail
like
images
this,
for sure.
every single image here is like so much cooler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Better thumbnails for sure. Click on another
Yeah,
one.
I really feel like a lot of this work needs to somehow get into like a slideshow that you can see at the beginning
Especially the
because
fact that like I had no idea that you did images like that when I first landed on the page. Yeah,
yeah,
there's
so
cool work in here too that just like suffers from. I mean, I'm sure you know exactly what's going on here, but like this needs some help in terms of layout stuff.
yeah, so it seems like you're putting the actual posts here, so they are interactive. It seems like
I feel like that's getting in the way. It's
yeah,
cool, but if but it would be cool. It would be cool if you could get everything out of that, but I don't think it's necessary. I would just go with imagery because you can
And these
control that a
like
lot more. Because
big
also,
blank
like, I don't know if
gradients.
this
I
is
don't
the
know what that is.
brand or if it's yours, but like if these get deleted or if, I don't know, somebody writes some bullshit in a comment, it's like now it's on your website. I'd be like, okay, the nice thing about your website is it's the one place where you can control the environment in its entirety. So control it.
I think one thing that when you're as someone who used to do a lot of logo and branding work, when you're presenting logos, is like give them some breathing room. I think this first lockup is way too big here. Like I think it should be probably 50% that size. Just give it some breathing room. Because like on my I'm looking at this on my 32-inch display and it's just like huge and it just feels like if it had some more breathing room it would look a little bit more sophisticated and just nicer. But
Yeah,
yeah,
logos always look
seeing
best when they're small.
yeah, I mean it doesn't have to be super small, just a little bit smaller than that. But yeah, this is all
Yeah, those are
cool
cool. Some
stuff.
of these images, again, I think are more interesting than maybe the thumbnail was as well. But I mean, it's a strong thumbnail for sure, just to show that it's in use and in context and stuff like that. I think probably one overall thing is that you are like like you said in the front of the page, like you're multidisciplinary. You do a lot of different things. You wear a lot of different hats, and so the site might at times feel a little scattered in style, and I think that's a strength for you. And I'm just personally trying to like change brain because like the past ones that we're looking at were so like style driven that I think you're more of like you come up with a solution regardless of the style. Um,
This is a good example of the it being too big. It's so big here that it feels like one image. So like giving them some breathing room would help because then we could focus on how this like horizontal lockup and this and like on their own. But there's not enough negative space between them for me to focus on one individually. And like this separate icon is like, it's called an icon, so it's like it should be small, like maybe showing it in context, which I guess you do here. But even just like
yeah,
seeing that
like these
face
images are sick.
small, like seeing the face small here, like at this size, it looks so much better than when I
Yeah,
see it
you be
really
bragging
big.
at how well you design things at scale anyway. So like show off. And again, I feel like some of these images could make a better thumbnail. There's
Yeah.
some really cool stuff in here. And I think overall, like the fact like these projects feel cohesive, strong, and there's an obviously clear direction and you have a lot of authority over the way they were rolled out. So I think that's great. I feel like just you got to get people into them. So just like enticing the click with a better thumbnail would probably be a really big one.
Casey said, "Do you think a case like this for a multidisciplinary designer it'd be helpful to section areas by discipline?" Maybe, but I feel like a lot of it is, but it's all sort of they're just brand design projects, so it's kind of hard. That's like sort of the separation. I think they're just like when you're a designer,
Diversity is the
you don't have
strength.
that. Like yeah, when you're a designer, you don't have that consistent look because you are doing each project uniquely for a specific purpose. It's not like an illustrator where you are hired for your style. It's more of like
Yeah.
hired for your concept, your thinking, and design
Yeah.
problem solving. Great work. My overall feedback is maybe just figure out a way to show some more quickly.
Yeah. Show the images.
Speaking of Casey, that was a
Easy.
is that the same Casey?
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
assuming.
Yeah. I think
Let's
Casey said
see
that
him like
their site
Casey.
is not super done either, like all of ours, but he threw it out there anyway.
I love the CMY Casey.
Yeah, it works well.
That's
Got
funny.
lucky.
Yeah, so this is one of those cases where I feel like when I get to this homepage, I want to see more. I think when you have a grid like this where it's rows of three, you need to make sure that there's not empty spots.
Hmm.
Either make it just show six or get nine in there because it looks like you don't have enough work to show. And showing six, showing less, like if this was just six, it wouldn't feel that way. It would just be like, these are the six that I'm leading with.
Hmm.
But when you have empty spaces, it feels like something's missing.
Click on some. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
funny because there's a lot more work in here than than we're led to believe.
yeah, like you have a lot of work in it. It looks like you don't. And like, there's really nice logos here, but I'm supposed to just click on this
Yeah.
white type on a gradient that feels like a placeholder that shouldn't be there. Like, let me see some of these cool logos.
Yeah, the
You
logos
know
are
what I
great.
mean?
Let me see the other projects too, like the ZQL or whatever. Yeah, these are like robust projects, and I know that Casey has like a lot more work. I guess I'm assuming that also that work is going to go up into the site, but I just feel like you have a lot of work. I also, a lot of the work that I see you do is more in the 3D world, and I know that you're also like more of a multidisciplinary designer too, and so curious if you'll break those into two different sites or not. But yeah, I just feel like some of
Yeah,
your
this
thumbnails
illustration
could
work is
probably
super
entice
cool.
a click better. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that thumbnail's pretty good. Yeah, these are just like murals, but like I feel like you're over categorizing things because why not? I mean, some of these could just be their own project. It's sort of a shame you're burying them under just murals, especially where you're like,
Yeah.
if your site had like 1,000 entries and it was like, oh, we got to concise this, you actually probably need to stretch, and you have everything you need to in order to stretch. So I would like take a lot of these things out and make more projects out of
Yeah.
them because they're getting
I think
very
this is also a good situation for like a landing page that just gives us a big sense of
smattering.
work. Like, yeah, like some logos, some of these like images here, like
Mhm.
this mixed in, just like a whole bunch of a splash of just like, whoa, look at all this stuff and like the illustrations and some murals. And then you could have a projects tab where people could look at individual projects.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a nice, just like, yeah, your intro splash page, just hit them with a bunch of cool
Cause
different
like,
images. Cause like you have so many different like random images. And I think just similar to the previous site, it's like your diversity is very much your strength. So showing like a wide range of things will be helpful because that's what you're kind of aiming for is like, you're a chameleon, you're a designer.
mhm. All right.
Cool.
Good job, Casey. Thank you. This
Yeah.
is Matt Freed.
Okay.
Nice, clean, simple. I feel like it goes well with the work. It
This is sorry, just to call back to like a site 3 or 4 ago with the grid that was kind of getting the grid was getting lost. That like simple like border between all the grids is like a nice way that feels very organized. Um, like the squares just look very sharp, even though there are white spaces.
yeah. Uh, Interesting. So is this? Let me see something. Oh, okay. I was wondering. So like on this one, there's this like little crop, and then this giant header. It seems like we could just get rid of that and just have the image and then the little description. Because like here, and like this one, I kind of wish it was a little bit bigger,
Bigger.
but it's cool illustration. Like this, I think this is
Yeah.
nicely done. We've got the full illustration, and then a little bit about it for what the
Yeah, it's
concept
laid out
was.
well. They're all laid out differently, which I think is a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. This illustration feels very different than the others, but so does this one. Also, oh, so this is just like a thing. See a man at TV, draw a man at TV. So it's like more of a personal project, but it also looks like it's cropped, like we're not seeing it. This seems like it shouldn't be in here, even though like the thumbnail shows more than here.
Well, wait, but also like, sorry, the new commute illustration on the way bottom right is like getting cut off too. Are you like zoomed in, or what's happening?
No,
Or maybe that's just the crop of the stream because I'm not seeing like the full. I feel sorry. Go down. The
I think
last
the
I see like half of the N on the screen, basically
half
in
of the N.
illustration. In the word illustration on the bottom right,
Oh, how'd that
I
happen?
think we just might not be seeing the full screen potentially, which is deceiving me.
Oh, oh boy. I hope you're happy now, Kirk. You messed
Well,
up
I mean,
everything.
you don't have to change anything. I'm just
Well,
letting
I
you
don't
know.
know
I'm not sure if it's
when
the
this
same
happened.
because I think that says illustrations, right?
Yeah, but I don't think I changed the window. Hold on. Where's
I
my
mean, it's not a huge
ECAM?
deal. I was blaming the web design, and I think maybe it might be something else.
Why does it have to do that?
No, it's okay.
I don't know what happened. There we go. I fixed it. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
still
better
like
now.
this big text on top of. Is that supposed to be there? Well, no. I think that's not part of it. That's a title because
Yeah,
it's
it's like
moving
that's text
separately.
text.
Yeah,
Frankie
like
said it
they're
zoomed in a
all
minute ago.
they're all very different. I think the fact that there's this simple animation in your work is a very marketable thing. So I think including that as the thumbnail would be really like having that GIF there, like having something moving in your thumbnails. I think is beneficial. Maybe there could be more than one thing. Yeah, I mean, great work here. This cowboy one feels very different than the rest, and I think it's okay to have some different styles. But if only one is different, it feels out of place.
Can you click on about? That's a nice page.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, I think yeah, there's some cool stuff in here too. I think this might also be a situation where I mean categorizing is nice, but when you're
this is
kind of
really cool.
pushing to get more work, yeah, like there's some really cool stuff here. I feel like I don't know if I would. I'm saying this with caution. I'm not sure if I totally believe it, but like I don't know if you need to separate illustration and sketches. I feel like I would like to see some of those sketches right when I land on the page because they feel really strong, and I think it's a shame that it
Yeah,
wouldn't see them right away.
I feel like there's so much good work here that I think that this would benefit. Like you, some of these sketches. What I would say is instead of having sketches and illustration, I would just have a work page and just put your
Yeah,
strongest work there, and some of
yeah, I
it
would
could
just
be
chop some of
sketchbook
the
stuff.
sketches out of
Like,
here. Yeah,
but like if
because
you
some of these
want to have a
sketches are your
section,
strongest work. Like that Richland. Like click on the first one, Chris. The Richland. Like I love that like white outline. Like it's still showing
yeah,
like a sense of
and like this
design
is
and
great
like this
too.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
a lot of
super
this
sick.
stuff is really good.
I think you're definitely yeah you're shooting yourself in the foot by not showing some of those. I would merge, especially maybe when you grow bigger and bigger and you have a ton of work, then you can maybe start separating things out or whatever. But I think for now, I would merge
But
that
here,
down
yeah,
into just a
there
work
already is
page.
personal work here. Like this is
Yeah,
doodle illustration. Like it is personal. It seems like you're almost separating it because it's digital or something, but this one is not digital. I don't know. I wouldn't. There's no. You're an
yeah, merge
illustrator,
them.
so it's you're getting hired for your illustrations. So like your drawing. So show your best drawing.
Also, I love that about photo. I'm not saying put it on the homepage. You know, it's contrary to what we've been saying, but I do like that about page. I like knowing you're a human, and I like seeing you with your work behind you. Again, I'm not saying change anything, but I think that photo is great, and I just wanted to call that out. Like, I think it's super important to have something like that. It's really nice to like just humanize the person.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, Matt. Jason Erler's Instagram page. Um, cool stuff. I mean, I think the work is fun. We're on Instagram, so it's a little less curated.
We don't have to, yeah, at least we don't get to critique the web design.
Yeah, I mean, I think the work is cool. Seeing some of this stuff as just line work is is fun and nice. Um, it seems like you're exploring all different styles and trying new things. I would say I will maybe think about it in that regard and um, maybe like see
Yeah, the
what's
digital work is strong. Like I like seeing the color. You definitely like you have a thing that you're doing, and I like it.
this.
And
This is
good.
cool when I see it moving, but when it was just a static thumbnail, it. I mean, that's the nature of the beast, but it just looked like it was some like weird effects, like weird Photoshop filters, and I was like, oh, this isn't gonna be good. And but then it looks cool in motion, so that's cool. I'm wondering if this is the same way. I think some of this like opacity is like I see what you're doing here, but it seems like it might look better if it was more like pixelated instead of like ghosted images and like less drop shadow stuff and more technical glitchy. But kind of like what you're doing with this one. But I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff here. I think keep making weird stuff. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I like the mosh right in the center is like the world that I'm liking the most of like these like I mean, explore. So I'm not saying like niche down into anything, but like I like the symmetrical stuff. Like I like that on the left with the green beard. I like the characters that you're making. And I feel like as you continue to just like what I really like about what you're doing is you're just doing like yeah, that marker stuff is super good on the right too. I feel like what you probably are feeling maybe even frustrated by. Can you go up a little bit, Chris? Yeah, stop down. This is going to be tough. But the eyeballs, like exploding eyeballs on the right, go down a little bit more. That down right. That like that feels super strong. I have a feeling you're probably getting sometimes frustrated when you're working digitally that you can't quite get to that. And I would say like work on trying to get toward that type of an effect digitally because you can. And it might be a matter of like experimenting with different digital brushes, digital markers, stuff like that. But once you can kind of merge those worlds of like digital and analog so they feel seamless, I think you're going to be in really good shape because like that image is super cool and you're getting really close to that with like the iPad stuff. It's just going to take a little bit more time to merge the worlds. And I know it's frustrating when you're starting because you're like, I wish I could just draw it like I do with the markers. Eventually you will be able to. And it might just be a matter of like looking at some brush packs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems like you might be using vector brushes too, which would be the problem. I don't
Yeah, I
know if
would look
that's
into
the
like
case, but I'm
some
just
retro
looking
supply
basically.
brushes or
Yeah.
whatever.
Cool. Nice stuff. Max graphics. Look at this. This is maximum. Love this bright colors.
Yeah, it's cohesive as hell. I mean, there's no question there. Um, I think sometimes the struggle you'll have is like when you are so cohesive that then you do something a little bit different and it feels like it sticks out like a sore thumb. You kind of like gotta like overly commit to the style.
I like what's happening
But
with the
yeah, I like
textures on
these.
that face.
Yeah, and the shadows and overlapping stuff is really fun and cute.
Yeah,
I
this
like
the one
those.
next to it too. I think the pieces where you are, um, you're still using like punchy, vibrant colors, but they're like a little bit more retro-y subdued, and then adding some texture. I think that's what really stands out from the other stuff. I would say like compared to like this hell one, doesn't feel as strong as like these two for me. They just feel a little bit more sophisticated and finished. But
And not
yeah,
to
and
critique what you're saying,
these two
Chris,
look
but like,
yeah.
this is an Instagram account too, which we know it's like this isn't like your finite, like you only share the best things. But when you are, if you pull this out to like a website or something, I think, like Chris is saying, like some of those are your stronger ones for sure. Also,
Yeah, I
those little
mean,
knit things are sick. Can you click that? Oh, that's
yeah,
so
it's
cool.
super fun.
That's so fun.
Uh, yeah, this is awesome stuff.
You're probably ready to pull out
That's
to a website and like start like grabbing the things that are the strongest. And yeah, I agree with what Chris was saying. Like some of those like papery, textury, shadow character things are really cool. It's like a really cool merging of what you're doing very naturally, but tightened up into something. Yeah, I really love that lower left one a lot. It's
yeah.
fun, but they're all cool. They're all really fun.
Joseph Israel Rawl Bullard.
Yes.
Um,
Let me see. I was on Joseph's podcast a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago or so. He told me to be harsh with the work. My harshness is that why wasn't this on the homepage?
yeah, yeah. My harshness is like, it took me a bit to see anything. And like, look at this nice branding work. How would we ever
Yeah,
know? Like,
yeah, and nice
if I was
photos.
a busy person, I probably have been like, oh, I went to the wrong website. I'm on this.
Sure.
I'm on this. I don't know. I don't even not photographer. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's
So
work down
much.
below the photos and stuff like that, but I feel like it might feel a little touch of like a personal side. I think it's something that I know that I struggle with a lot on my website of like wanting to talk about me a lot, but also wanting to show my work because Joseph does like a lot of different things. Like he's running a podcast, he's full-time designer, he's like has a long story, he's done a lot of cool shit, and he has a long history. I feel like we just want to dive into that optionally, um, but like
Or
put the
even like
work
use this
first.
space. Yeah, like use this space better or something. So like at least at the same time, like we're seeing some of the work. Like if it's
Yeah,
the work
sprinkle it
is
in.
next to you, yeah, like it's there's really cool
Yeah,
stuff
like the
here.
project
Like
is sick.
come
Yeah.
on, like what? Look how cool this stuff is. Why do you make it so hard for me to see it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of good projects in here, and the projects are like fulfilling when you have like nice photos of everything. Like you're a super good designer. Yeah, I feel like that's the quickest, most immediate thing is like that homepage feels like a great about page, basically. Um,
Yeah.
but
Or yeah.
even your navigation doesn't have like there's no quick way to see like work. Like you have to click the hamburger menu first and then get to design projects or whatever. I feel like just
All
like get
yeah.
out of the way and get us to the work as quick as possible.
Also from like a UI standpoint, like I'm on the website, I'm like here, I'm like, I don't where I need to get some I need to find some work. So I go all the way up here to the hamburger. I've traveled across this whole distance and I'm like, all right, now I can click a link. And it's like, go back to where you came from. And I'm like, God damn it. And I go all the way back down here to design projects. Like I have carpal tunnel from using your website.
Yeah,
But
well, the work is sick, and yeah, it needs to just get
yeah,
put way more up front.
the work is
Yeah, especially
super
like these
rad.
photos, the dogs, and like it's so nice.
Yeah.
Like what a, I love those
Why did I
photos
have to
because like
wait
your
so
work
long
is
to see
being
this
used
doggy?
too. I think that's another like super strong strength is that like this isn't like fictional work. This is work that's like actually being used in the wild, and there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
get us to this as soon as possible, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Great
like
work.
all that.
Super cool work. Just don't
Make
hide
the
it.
homepage the about page, basically.
The what? The design.
The
The
homepage is a
design.
great about page, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah yeah. Make make the homepage your work, and then
About
make the
page.
about page your homepage.
Yeah. I'm just saying, move this page as a great about page, and then yeah, get the work right up front.
Jamie Kendall, motion design. I don't want to play this reel because it's gonna make loud noises at me. But I
I love that
love
everything's moving around the gate. There's no question that you're a motion designer.
yeah, and I like the way we're able to see what it is with like this simple white type, but we can still see cool stuff, and it's like enough that it's making us want to click on it.
Yeah, it's enticing.
Let me see what happens if I do this.
Yeah, you're also working on things that are like used in the wild, and like that requires like a lot of trust. That like to work on like a Google property thing is like a really big deal. And so like
Hmm.
throwing those logos around I think is really important. And I feel like you're doing that even on the homepage. Like I know that you're doing Google work and stuff like that. So I would continue to
What
pound that into everybody.
I'm wondering if, because like we click on here and we see this video, but we got all this space, it would be kind of cool to see some of the like pieces, some of the
Yeah,
like
pull
the
it out.
illustrations and motion graphics like as stills around here, or even as like a little animated GIF or something of like,
Yeah,
that
GIFs and stuff
loading
like
bar,
that.
or like that little Wi-Fi signal thing.
Yeah, make your pages more designed. Like make them pages, a little more energy and effort into them. Click on one more.
Jeff said they're probably on a 4K monitor, so everything looks small. Yeah, we are, but like think about like if you're getting hired by someone in this industry, they're not going to be using a Peewee monitor.
Yeah, I think like a more cinematic experience to these could be totally nice. Like just design the pages a little bit more. Like even if you're like darkening the surroundings and just like thinking more of like a theater and stuff, especially where you're a motion designer, I feel like you want to make sure the site is lending itself to that. So how can you really like put the video?
Yeah. So this is one of those things where I feel like a section of this as like a GIF that's like on the screen, like a few of those would be really great, because when you first click on this, it takes a bit to even see anything. You know what I mean? So I think having some like preview GIFs
Yeah,
would
give
be
me some
really
stuff to like
helpful.
distract me in the meantime. Yeah. Because obviously you don't want to like edit the short film or anything like that, but just like, yeah, giving some stuff for the eyes to wander around on while it's going. Also, just because like we all have like some sort of form of attention difficulties where like it's hard to just sit and watch a video. Some people just want to scroll around. Or some people are afraid that it's going to make noise or their internet is slow or whatever. So just like, yeah, give other ways to interact with the art beyond just the video, I think would be super helpful because the work is really good.
Yeah, I think because you're a motion designer and there's so much cool, interesting stuff here and so many things that could easily get pulled out, I think just showing some of that stuff a little bit more would be great. But I think this is a aside from showing a little bit more, I think this is a great way to present it all.
Can you
So
control the thumbnails on YouTube as well? Like, could that red screen be like a custom thumbnail?
yeah,
One way or another, I feel like that could be a
you
stronger
it's
image.
yeah. I mean, you can make YouTube. You have a YouTube channel,
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, to make a custom thumbnail that's more enticing than just text. Cool. Sick.
and also like you could use a different thumbnail and have it still be the YouTube video. Like you could do it in the your web.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. Farben Wesson Studio.
Ah, yes. I think they're still finishing the site. They say don't look at it on mobile, if I remember correctly. Well, fortunately, we're not gonna, so don't worry. Keep looking around, Chris. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
trying. I can't. Okay, so there's
your
nothing
site's
project.
not done yet. Oh, okay, cool. Lots of space. Oh, cute work too, but too small of images.
Yeah, I can't see,
What
and
are
I
we
can't
doing
even
here? Too
click on them.
tiny. And good work. Okay, are you scrolling and that's what's happening? Or are you scrolling left and right?
Yeah, there's like it's a weird scroll. Like I scroll a little bit and then it like does a bunch.
All right, we'll get back to somewhere else.
I don't know how.
Just refresh and go to the homepage or whatever. Yeah,
Nope.
there you go. See illustration.
Whoa.
Oh, we missed a lot of good stuff. Go up. Oh,
Uh,
there it is. All right, the
I,
site's taking over the scrolling, and we don't like it, but we love
yeah,
the
your site is
work.
very
Get me to the
difficult
work.
to use, but the illustration stuff is cool. I like um, this variety of images where we get like a nice illustration up here, and then like a book photo, a really nice photo of the book, and then this like art print. Like a lot of this I think this is a great mix of like showing illustrations on their own and illustrations in context. And it's a really nice grid. Seeing the products, seeing the illustrations. Like
Yeah, the
this
work's
looks
really
really
nice.
good. I think it's just your website just needs to,
The site's getting in the way, which is the
yeah,
opposite of the point. The site should show it off, not be, yeah,
yeah,
causing friction. Chris is
yeah.
a little
This
bit
is
of a boomer, but I mean, I could tell that it's not all Chris's fault. I do
but
like
yeah,
your the brand and design that you're doing of like your illustrations or like have the brown and like the web design was green and like things like that. Like you're a very thoughtful designer because you are like a brand design as well. Like I think these pages look sick. I think they're just starting to get in the way. If you could dial them back. Like I don't want you to strip everything away from the website and make it so that it's only a grid of illustrations. I just think it might just be a technical thing where you're not done with it yet because it's like, yeah, obviously that's not what's supposed to
yeah. I mean, it's not, like
happen. Or if it is, yeah,
it
don't
can't be
post to the
because like
bottom of the page. Yeah.
I'm not being. I don't want you to know that I'm not being a spaz here. I click on illustration, and then I click on let's create together, and then it's like,
Well, it's because it's bringing you to the contact, basically, which is not. It doesn't make sense to do that. But no,
yeah,
it's not your fault. I'm just teasing. But the work is good and the design is good. The functionality of the site is like a mess, and I think you know that. And I'm just saying, keep all like your color palettes are super strong. It's really concise. Like, continue to bring all of the brand design that you're doing into your website because I think it strengthens it and makes it professional. Just fix it so that you can use it. Basically, simple as that.
and to quickly just get a little design. So your the illustration work was really good, but like all this stuff at the bottom, especially like this and this, there's like that Farben Weston I think is nice, but there's like design issues here, like the white and like these weird little slivers. Uh, it's too much. Like it's a lot. There's so many different styles of things happening, and it's distracting. And like the spacing is like on the side of these icons. This needs to just be. There's this whole thing needs to be just like a simple little line with like your logo. There's too much design, and it's not the best design, is what I would say. And that's not your strength. It doesn't seem like, because like the rest of the work is great. So it's like lean into what you can do and don't try to do everything, and don't overcomplicate your website so people can just see your work, because the work is great. We got to move
I
because
want to
we're
hit a couple
gonna.
chat. Yeah, I want to hit a couple chat things real quick, just like high level. People are saying like, how do they submit to this? We just called out on Instagram for entries. We probably got more than we're able to get to today, but that's how we did it. And then people are saying, are we doing Behance profiles? Yes, we are. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to go. We're not going to be able to get everything, but and somebody else asked, like, are we going to do more of these? If people like it, I think Chris and I are enjoying it, like, totally. I mean, I'm not in charge of Chris's channel, but uh, I would
We
think we
can
would do
absolutely
more.
do it again. I'm more than happy to do that. It's just I realistically have to end
I have a
soonish.
call at 12, so I have to jump. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we I don't. I think we just need to we need to. I want to
Let's do
get to
three more.
the other document. Well, no, but we have to get. We have a whole
Oh,
other thing,
okay.
and
You're
I'm
in
not
charge.
skipping
Let's do
those.
it. Yep.
We're just gonna we're gonna do some quick. We're just not gonna dilly dally. Okay.
Okay. Let's go.
All right. Designed by Megan, graphic designer, adventure traveler, reading enthusiast, cat mom. We've said this a whole bunch of times, but like, there's so much space here that's not doing anything for you. It's like your first thing you're saying is graphic designer. I see a nice logo. Okay, so that's you're a graphic designer, but then I've got this big image, and oh, I see you there, but barely, and it about like this is
Yeah,
not.
show your work.
Yeah, like here we go.
Because boom, there's the work. Yeah, it's great.
Also, and you're this header, award-winning graphic designer, special. Yeah, that's great and useful information, but it should be way smaller because the work is the important part. Just like have it on one line or something, so it's not taking up a full thing. But the work is super solid. Like scrolling through here, like I would just wish I saw some of this at the beginning. And the thing about the grid, like if you're gonna have this many, finish it or cut. Don't have it a blank. What
I
you
think
could
that's just a little
do,
bit tricky just because I think if you resize the window, you might end up like I think you might end up sort of always with one because if it ends up in a two grid, you might
okay,
end up having the perfect amount. I agree with the feedback. I just know that might be the
yeah,
technical
okay,
limitation.
sure. But what I was gonna say is you could also have like your tagline as like a square too or something
Yeah,
like that. And then if you wanted it to still be a thumbnail, you could just link it to your about page or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Show the work right away. Like it's a shame
Because
that
your
the
work, yeah,
homepage
it's
you don't
great.
see any of the work. Yeah, so just get to the work.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. This is
But we're
this
not
is
trying to cut
nice.
anybody off short. We just want to get to everybody.
Yeah, Tyler Ramby. Cool design, cool graphics at the top. I think this background is a little loud, a little distracting from the work. I feel like the thumbnails could be a bit bigger.
Yeah, again, show the work. I mean, you're showing the work, but like you're not doing it justice because they're a little bit too small. I think this is an instance where the site is getting in the way
Yeah,
of
especially because your
the
work is
work.
so detailed.
Yeah,
This these this doesn't seem like the kind of stuff that does well really small. Like it's meant to be
yeah,
seen bigger.
yeah. Because the work is once again, it's sick.
Yeah, all this like texture and stuff like that. I yeah, I mean this is all super cool. I think you're not presenting it in the best possible way. Like I think these you'd benefit from having bigger thumbnails than the
You might
smaller
benefit
ones.
from honestly just like switching to something that's a little more out of the box and less custom, which I know sounds like a
Yeah.
bummer, but I think those restrictions will actually end up making your work stronger if you jump to like a whatever, a Squarespace template or whatever you choose. I think
Yeah.
if you force yourself into that box, it'll strip away some of the custom, which will actually benefit the work because right now it's taking away from it and your work is so good. Um,
Yeah, and I think
yeah,
like showing
strip
it
that.
like instead of having so many and this small size, it would look more impressive if they were bigger so we could like see the detail because when they're this small, we're not seeing what's so great about
Yeah,
them.
they're so impressive when you get them big. Yeah, make your work bigger,
Yeah,
get out of the way a little
totally.
bit more for it, and
Like
I
I
think you're
would
in great shape.
if I went to your website and it like just this image on its own, it makes me more interested than seeing all this
Yeah,
stuff because when they're this small with that much detail, they look they don't look as good. Like
yeah,
they
they
don't
almost
look
look like they might
nearly.
just be photos of something. I don't like. You can't even necessarily tell
Yeah,
that they're like illustrated posters.
and they also feel way more disjointed like this. Like it seems like they're all random when they're this small because we don't see what makes them consistent because what makes them consistent is like how they're illustrated and like the textures and stuff like that. And when they're when we see it full size, they all feel cohesive when they're a little bit bigger
Yeah,
when
these
you
are
see that
sick.
detail.
Yeah,
But yeah, super cool work. I do think this is one of the situations where you probably could weed some out. Like this is not nearly as strong as as some of this other stuff. Like it seems
yeah.
like this this could be cut down to your strongest work.
Hmm.
Awesome, nice job, Tyler. Thanks for submitting. Hey, I know that. That's my Stinktober prompt list.
Hmm.
This is I don't know who this is. Oh, Marco.
Marco,
Cool. I love this Stinky Tober animation. That's a fun little header.
that's great. I love that you wrote out That's all like hand. Yeah, I like that you're like handwriting even your descriptions. It's very cool to me. And like the mock up of it being in the iPad, like drawn out to like it's a very like strong project in that regard. I really like that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is like lead with your drawings as opposed to my prompt list
Sure.
because I love seeing them, like especially the animated ones. Like these are all this is great. Um, yeah, I think it's just again getting your work there faster. Like you've got this animation, that's really cool. But I think having
Yeah, even just putting
the
like three of your favorite ones right up at the top underneath the Stinky Tober or something like that, or
yeah
even just one of them, something under that Stinky Tober just to show them
yeah
quickly
like,
would be
I
super
think
good.
I think if you like put a grid of them, maybe like the first two at the top, and then like this project began, and then you could have your Stinky Tober logo, and then I think your text about your process you should put at the bottom.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah, just
yeah,
break it up a little bit more.
great stuff. Jenny Brewer. Cool. So we've got two clear, distinct sections: UI art and design illustration. Um, my
Oh, neat. Interesting. Cool.
yeah. Just checking the different sections. Okay, so
Well,
see, I
oh,
think this is a really good example of how to do thumbnails for someone who has a lot of like
yeah, the
distinct
zoom and crop is
detail.
really nice. Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
they're
this stuff
interesting. They're like
looks
compelling because I want to see the rest of the image, but I don't feel like I'm like, yeah.
yeah, these like details and stuff like that. You're so this work is amazing, and having your like right now your logo because you're like branding every single image is like all it's like, and I sort of like get that you want them as that when they're on their own, but when they're on your website, it's really distracting.
Yeah.
Like I think you should
Yeah. Drop the logos.
separate them when they're on your website. Like don't have your name on every single
Yeah. It's
one.
like when you walk into a restaurant, like, and you're like, the sign has the name of the restaurant, but then once you're in the restaurant, they're not like trying to tell you where you are anymore. You already know where you are. So, like, we don't need to keep like putting the name of the restaurant everywhere. Similarly here, like, we're already here.
And it's not
So,
even
if
just
the work's
about like
crazy good.
knowing that we're already here. It's like we're it's distracting from your work. Like I'm looking at these images and like your name has the most contrast here, so it becomes the focal point, and it's not what I want to be the focal point. But like all this stuff like that, text blending it, like this is all sick, so good. Your work is amazing. It's just I love
I think also
these
to the
thumbnails.
homepage, like, we didn't know that we were going to get these really, really amazing pieces of work on the home page. I don't know. I
Yeah,
didn't get that impression. I wasn't sure what we were getting. And then once we clicked on both the UI art, I think is also has a ton of strengths too. And the design and illustration are super strong. I just think we're not, and it's weird because you are showing it, but I think you're just like covering it a lot. Like, this is probably a
yeah.
stronger
Well,
homepage
so it
even.
seems like a
Show the
situation
work.
where you would be sharing like you would send this to someone if they were like looking for your illustration stuff and then this, but then your landing page has both. But like this is a good representation of your work. It's just your work. There's so much of your work that I want to see it more. But that's the illustration page. So it's almost like two different
Yeah, I think
websites.
the homepage is trying to do is trying to do too much, like, or not. It's in the way. The homepage is in the way. Get to your work more. You could just bring some of the
It
work into the homepage
yeah.
more.
My thought is this: like someone, they're very. I feel like illustration and UI design are very different things. So it's like it almost seems like just have two websites, even if they're very similar, because it's not like someone's gonna be like, oh, I need an illustrator, but I also need a UI. They're not gonna. I feel like that would be such a rare situation where they're gonna hire like you to do both of those things. But maybe that's not true. Maybe I don't know anything. But either way, your illustrations are super nice. So thank you for submitting.
Yeah, just get to the work quicker.
Patrick, where did I, oh, Patrick Curley. Okay.
Yeah, Patrick.
Okay. Cool stuff. This, I like the work in the eyeballs thing. It's a little bit much. What do we think?
Yeah, it's fair. I think only just because it's so transparently like a Squarespace thing. Like we know it's like that. That's just kind of it almost feels like a default bell and whistle. Um,
Yeah. I would like
yeah, I don't
almost
I don't
would be,
dislike it. I don't know that we need it.
I think if it was like
It's cute and
in the
cheeky.
place of work over here and was just like half the length, maybe I'd be
Sure,
better about it. Or if the eyes were your face logo and it was just like at the top smaller, you know what I mean?
sure.
I think it's
Yeah,
just
fair
because
enough.
my issue with it is it's taking up too much real estate.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And I know that
lots of great
they're
work
like a
here.
really strong designer and like art director that like is very
Yeah.
thorough. I knew that once we were going to click into things, they were going to be like big, full projects for like big brands. Um,
Yeah, this looks great. I think um
I love that light switch brand refresh. I remember seeing that a while ago. Can you just click on it? The yellow one. Yeah. Click, click,
this one.
click. Yeah.
Oh,
I just love the design of this and like the whole art direction around it is like so fucking strong.
yeah. Uh
So
all,
sick.
all this stuff is super cool. I think like based on these thumbnails, this Chewy one is not I feel like I'd want to see something the
Yeah, like
from
a
here
photo of the
instead.
dog or whatever. Yeah.
And like
I
maybe we
get
just
that
want
like
the
having the
Chewy thing on
Chewy
there.
logo is helpful, but I feel like you could almost just like make custom thumbnails that just like you have a photo of the dog or whatever the strongest piece is, and then just like you could do a white Chewy logo on the lower left or something. So that, and same thing with like the
Yeah.
Gillette. I think like just throw the Gillette logo somewhere on there, like Museum of Science. Like all of these brands are huge and like they trusted you to work on them. I feel like there's a way to like still show off those logos without like having the thumbnail be just the Chewy box. And it's probably just a matter of like, yeah, like lower left or something like that. Or even having the titles be text underneath the thumbnails rather than hovers or something. Just because like
Yeah.
every brand on this page is like a titan to work with.
Yeah, and I mean you could also just have it like just take the logo and like keep it simple, knocked out like in white on the image, like as like a little
Yeah, exactly.
thing.
Like almost like a watermark, which a yucky
Yeah.
term I know, but yeah,
Yeah, but like as a label instead.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, no, really
yeah,
helpful.
I mean, great work. Obviously, you know what you're doing. You're a big shot
You
professional.
do, you know what you're doing. Yeah, Sophie.
Sophie, fun. Oh, I love this. These like stripes with the lettering.
And like so much of Sophie's work, I think, is like pretty traditional too. Like, yeah, like all of this stuff is like all very legitimately done. Like the process is really intense and badass.
Yeah, I feel like this is great. There's so much variety, and I as I'm scrolling through here, it's like all different, but it's like it doesn't. I don't feel like I'm taking out of what I'm doing, and I love that it just naturally brought me to the bottom. Like I didn't feel like I was scrolling for too long. I was just like, this is so good. I feel good, and then it's like, and this is who it is. It was like the right amount of time.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that I don't know. If I would give one suggestion, it might be like I feel like I've said this before with like an overview page, but like right now it's like when you go to the website, it's book covers in big letters and all these book covers, and that seems like such a small part of what you do, and it almost seems like you'd be better suited to have your landing page just be a sampling of the different kinds of things that you do, and then you have just like you could have sections if people want to see it on their own, or even just this page. Like if you wanted to keep it simple, you could just be like have a work page, like it's work, and then people click on it and they can go through it like this. But when they go to your website, the homepage just has a sampling of your work, and then you know, because like there's so much stuff here that I wish we saw right away. I just don't want someone to click on it and be like, oh, this person is a book cover designer or illustrator, because
Yeah,
there's
true.
so much other amazing stuff that you do in addition.
Yeah. Yeah, you might even be able to do what Chris has said a couple times of like this mattering. I mean, if the scroll happens, we're all set. If the scroll doesn't, it could be a quick like turn away because all the
But
work
also,
is
like
super strong.
it looks like you're a rock star anyway. So what do I know?
And Sophie's like a relatively recent graduate too from I think Maine College of Art up here where I
Well,
am.
she's
But
looks
like
like she's killing it already. So
I know it's crazy.
Illustrated, um, lots of stuff here. It feels a little over lots of detail stuff. It seems like the kind of thing where this could be simplified a little bit, showing a little bit less or bigger thumbnails. Some of it feels stronger than other stuff. Let's see. The fact that when I click on your pieces, it tells me, it just feels like very much like a student portfolio because it's like mixed media, an illustration
You could
board,
tell me
and
a
then
little
acrylic
bit more about
ink.
what you're going through when you made these, even just like a couple
Yeah, like
lines.
this.
Help me
I think
put
the
me in the right
stuff you're
headspace.
telling us is like this acrylic ink, acrylic paint, matte medium, digital color. Like that's not like, so it says illustrated. So you're like an illustrator. So the way that you make your illustrations is the least important part of illustration.
Mm.
Nobody like who's hiring you as an illustrator really cares about that, and it just makes it look like a student portfolio because you're like trying to show us the technique that you learned on a project or something like that.
Which is like a frustrating thing of academia in that like I feel like when you go to art school they kind of do teach you to like talk about that
Especially
stuff. But I agree, it doesn't
especially
it's not
Will, because I know his school background. Like there,
right.
he comes from a program that thinks digital is a dirty word. When when you're an illustrator, no matter how you work, you're sending a digital file. So it's you know yeah, cool stuff. I just feel like your overall portfolio feels like it could get weeded down a little bit
Yeah, I think you're
and
ready for the chop.
simplified.
You've got enough work that some of it's much stronger than others, and I think you're ready for the
Yeah,
choppity chop.
but yeah, there's some cool stuff happening. Like this is cool. I like this. It seems like yeah, you just need to kind of simplify things and weed some stuff out. Yeah, like this is great, but there's some stuff that isn't as great. Like this is, I think that's a really nice illustration, but this feels a bit. Maybe that one's okay. I don't know. Some of them don't feel as strong as others. Like this is cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
that's great.
you've got a lot of
That's
nice
great.
work. I
You just
think you
got to
just
chop
need
around it.
to simplify. Some of it looks like a little messy. Like the love bug one, I think is cool, but like that black outline is too heavy for the vintagey vibe that's going on. But it's cool. But I feel like this is one of the things that might get like cut because it doesn't feel as cohesive as the others. Let's switch over to these other ones that we can go through real quick.
I'm trying to push my meeting back 30 minutes, Chris, but I have a call now.
Oh,
But I emailed Cam. Well, I
well, I
got maybe
certainly
2 or 3 minutes. If I don't get an email back, then I might
okay.
have to jump.
I certainly don't have 30 more minutes, but let's quick. So Edward Barkley, this some cool stuff. This like animation at the top is cool. I think that like subtle movement on the what is this carpet factory is kind of cool, but it kind of makes you want something else to move a little bit. The one at the bottom left is very hard for me to read. I don't understand what it says. I think that marshmallow type is a little bit much, and I think marshmallows is what we're supposed to read first. So I think you're doing a lot of stuff with the lettering, and it's playful, but it's getting a little too hard to read. I think you need to focus on the making sure the legibility is there as opposed to all of the stylizing. I think you're like pushing things a little too much. Um, but it's cool. It's just it needs to get taken back a step. Um, but
The
yeah, I mean,
animation
I
is
think
sick.
yeah, the animation is
I
cool.
like frame by frame is
Um,
great. Wow.
I think the what do you think this is a cover? That one is getting better in terms of readability. I think that one is working, um, and like the one above that definitely. But yeah, this is fun, and the animation stuff is super cool. I also like the colors. Um, okay, let's see. Let me click on this. Mike Martinez, this was something you did for a holiday card. I like that it is like a mix of like unfinished stuff and like shapes and outlines, which is kind of cool. It just feels like it needs to be grounded a little bit more with like that bird. Kirk, what do you think?
I think the scarf could use some love. Like I like the mixed media vibe of it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying it needs to all be super cohesive, but I think like the scarf just needs a little bit more love and tidiness. Like I mean, yeah, the minimalism is cool. All of that is great. I was really impressed with like the pine needles or whatever, how they look like almost scribbly, but they're
Hmm.
definitely not. Like they're well considered. I like it on this. I saw it when we saw it earlier. We didn't have the red background. I feel like that's actually a part of the piece now too. I think that's really nice. Before I
Yeah,
just saw it just on the white background, so I'm
when
liking
I
it.
just had
I
it on
think the
the
scarf needs love.
when it was just on the white background, it was like kind of floaty and it was getting cut off, so I just put it on that color. I just feel
Okay,
like the bird
I think that
itself,
grounds it really nicely.
yeah, that helps. Yeah, I think maybe just like if the shape was a solid color, or there was like a wing line or something like that, just something to, just because that face feels a little bit heavy right now. And I'm assuming that empty space is where you had some text for the holiday card, but cool stuff. Um,
Dude, I have to leave. I have a meeting three
all
minutes
right.
ago, and
There's
my number
only,
one portfolio rule is don't be late for meetings. So that's my biggest advice to everybody right now. And I'm so sorry I have to leave, but Chris, I got to jump.
no problem. There's only a few more, and I'll just talk about them real quick.
All right.
London
Thank you,
Allen,
everybody. Love you all.
yeah, bye, Kirk. Get out of here. I got to finish this by myself.
Bye, everyone. Take my Skillshare class.
I put this on here twice because I noticed that it works really well small, but when it's bigger, I feel like it looks like something that is a good icon or something like that. But when it's big, you start to see little things like the way the line on the side of the skull like almost touches the hat, and then like the stitching lines don't really match how they would be on this hat. But when it's an icon, it looks great. It looks really cool. I think it's fun, a fun design. It does feel a little bit like you needed to draw the skull first and then the hat because it seems like the skull might come up a little bit higher. But the lines are really cool. The texture, I really like the texture fill. I think it would look a little bit more cohesive if you used texture for the line work as well. Like if you took your line work layer and did the texture, because right now, because that's the only thing that doesn't have it, it takes us away from that print look. But the skull itself is super rad and super fun. And when it's small, it looks even cooler. Like it's a great icon. Aaron Pallison. So this was, I guess, a series about some rides that you went on. 2 days, 4 parks, 25 rides. So these are a lot of fun. I love the colors and the different experimentation. I think that I love the Hulk one. That one's my favorite. And I think when you're getting a little bit looser like that, it's really working for you. The one that I like the least is that microphone one, and I think because it's like rendered a bit more. It's like a little too tight, and like the lines are a little too thin. Um, and I think it's just it feels almost like very digital a little bit. Like maybe it's the sky background, but all the other ones just feel great. Um, I think the watch out, you will get wet one. I love the watch out lettering and I love the character, but the you will get wet doesn't feel like it matches the vibe. It just feels a little too like handwriting and like the upper and lowercase, like it's a title. Um, I think like if that should be more of like a like written quick, like someone's like you're gonna get wet, quick, maybe all uppercase, like it looks like it's written quickly or something like that. I think would work well. I love the Hulk one though, and then like the Ratatouille texture, trippy, psychedelic feel, super cool, very nice. Nick, Chicken Biscuit. These are funny, wild characters. I think their expressions are really funny, but they're getting a little set back because all of the line weight is so heavy. I think if you maybe didn't have line work on everything, like in the jelly, if the jelly was like a solid shape, maybe, or like the little seeds weren't outlined, it would let those expressions really pop. Like that purple is getting like there's not that much contrast with the mouth shape, so we're starting to lose that a little bit. And I think their expressions are really fun, and I think it's just like helping with the contrast. Like the shadows underneath are like almost hiding the legs because they're blending in. So I think if you just simplify the less important stuff and emphasize the expressions, I think it'll go a long way because they're really fun characters. Super cool. Thank you, Nick. Tori, I you sent a bunch of stuff and I tried to like jumble it together onto one image here. I think there's a lot of super fun stuff happening. That bottom image, happiness is homegrown, I feel like is just taken a little bit too far. It's a little bit too like everything is rendered. And a good example of that is the cloud, the underneath happiness and behind the hat has got like the outline around it. And it's just like everything is outlined like that. But if we look at the look who's the two and those like birthday ones where you've got the cloud doesn't have outline, the balloon doesn't have an outline, like that just looks like those are so nice. And like the party animal one at the top, those illustrations are super nice. I think it's just like trying to not use that outline everywhere. I love the bear one at the top too. One thing I would say is that the happiness is homegrown one, it seemed like things are getting a little bit muddy color wise, especially with like the shadows. There's like a lot of green and blue in the shadows, and I would just, instead of doing that, just use like it looks like you were doing this one digitally. So maybe instead of using those darker colors, just do another layer and then maybe either use a light purple or use the color you're making the shadow on. I find that if you just use a light purple and set it to multiply, it works well on everything. But like the shadow in the back by the caret sign where it's just like a little bit of a darker red works really nice. But like by the water bottle over to the right, the water can, like it just gets a little bit muddy and dark. And like the homegrown script lettering with the hose, that lettering is super nice, but I think there's just like too many highlights. It's just a little too much. And like those highlights I don't think you'd really have on a hose, but like the script itself is super fun and super nice. I think it's just simplifying a little bit like you're doing with these other ones perfectly. And then I'll quickly touch on the two different type treatments. I think the top one is a little busy and a little bit hard to read. And I think my playful palette below that is working quite a bit better and feels more cohesive with the other stuff. I think the colors maybe just in this context don't match as well. But the illustrations are super cute, super nice. The patterns are fun. I think it's just doing what you're doing on everything else on the Happiness is Homegrown one. I thought that was the last one, but there's a couple more. I'm sorry that I'm going like real quick right now. I just I have to go, so I want to talk about everyone's. Sean Lang. This one I think is super cool and super fun. The illustration is super nice. What I would say, the type I think is well done, but because you're using a font and it's made to look like it's hand painted, when you have the same letters repeating a lot, it takes us out of that handmade look because I'm seeing the exact same thing. So what I would do is use this as your starting point and then go back in and maybe just like distress or like color in some of those spots to like make them unique. Or what you could do is start with this and then trace it so that it's all done in the same hand, or even just going in and like coloring in some of the markings so they're not exactly the same, like on these E's, or like down here with the Give Me Death, we've got like 3 E's in a row, and you just like, for me, that stuff just stands out. I think the 2 lines at the bottom could be considerably smaller because it will help with your visual hierarchy. And I think using some, not having the type be all yellow, like some of it could be white, I think would help. And maybe that's where that stuff could be. This space above the snake and underneath me pickle is becoming a weird focal point because it's like framed and there's nothing there. I would say either lift that snake head up into that spot, or because that illustration is dialed in and nice and tight, maybe just put like the established 1776 or Dink Free or Die Trying and like a small little arc above the top. And then the only other thing I would say in terms of color is I think you're using 2 different greens for the leaves and the snake. And if you are, push it even further so that the snake and the leaf are separate. Because right now that looks like almost exactly the same, but it's not. So like, it's one of those situations where if you're trying to emulate like a screen printed look and you didn't want to have that many colors and you're using green, sure, it's the same green. But if you're not going to use the same green, then make it more clear that they're different. But it's a rad design. So thanks. Q, super fun frog. I love this character. I think I would just say in terms of color, it feels a little washed out. And then there's like some, like this sun or whatever that is in the background is so close to the eyes that it almost looks like the eyes are sent back. I think when you're putting something like that as a background element, you want to use it to kind of pop the character. So, you know, pushing the colors so that they're more contrasty on like the color spectrum. Like maybe the frog is more, has like a darker value and it's more like blue green or something like that. I love these little like highlights or like shadow things on the nose with the brown. I just feel like those eyes get a little set back because they blend in with the background. But the character is super fun, super cool. Yeah, I love it as a character design. So I'm sorry to go so quick. I'm sorry I was ignoring the chat at the end of this. I just have to jump on in a meeting very shortly too. But this was fun. We'll definitely do this again. There's a channel on the Discord for submitting work for review, and we could maybe use that or something for the future. But thank you all for tuning in, and I'm sorry I have to run, but you're all the best. I appreciate you. Thank you. See you real soon. Bye.